The incorporation of Earth into the galaxy. Promises of wealth were brought by the community and exchanged information, but it also made a Pandora's box of unexpected difficulties. There was a surge of galactic criminals taking advantage of the planet. Earth's legal system is quite poor. Getting used to interstellar, this served as a terrible wake-up call for governance. In some ways, both Ilioth and Praxma turned out to be a pretty excellent school of morals and practicality, a display of promise that helped him in the future. Laws designed for offenses committed on land were insufficiently prepared to manage interstellar foreign fugitives, smugglers, and fraud using sophisticated technology. To exacerbate the situation, Earth lacked the enforcement's efforts to target these criminals departing from outside its boundaries. Galactic outlaws. Justice at a standstill. Earth was promptly recognized as a prime target, illegally transported smugglers' goods via its ports while being aware of local. The authorities were unable to keep up with reputable advanced cloaking technology. Earth's orbit served as a safe haven for pirates, zone mocking the incapacity of Earth to stories of their brazenness in retaliation. Incidents that occur in many systems, painting Earth as a frontier without laws, where criminals worked without concern for the repercussions of the mockery, were not restricted to lawbreakers. Earth's own people increased growingly demoralized as they saw recurring failures to address economic reports of galactic threats, interstellar sabotage and resource theft. Gangs proliferated, but the offenders frequently get away with consequences for a few well-known occurrences, highlighting the severity of the issue in one specific case. A fleet of AN Orbital was raided by extraterrestrial mercenaries, station causing devastation in their wake, in spite of convincing proof and the millions of Earthlings' outrage. The case was dismissed by galactic courts, pointing to inadequate efforts at jurisdiction to bolster Earth's defenses. Appeared intriguing, but ultimately failed to live up to expectations. Talks with the Council of Galactic to strengthen the authority for police on Earth were trapped in alien bureaucracy. Despite their sympathy, ambassadors were hesitant to increase the effect of a newly formed planet over law enforcement on Interstellar. The law enforcement organizations on Earth, underfunded and overworked, being surpassed by criminals who using cutting-edge alien technologies to remain safe and prosperous. Anger protests sprang out of frustration, broke out in many cities, demanding action to stop the uncontrolled flood of criminals. Doubted the worth of belonging to an interstellar community that appeared to shield offenders more than victims, that are reported by the media. Feelings that intensify demand a daring reaction. In the meantime, criminal groups strengthened by Earth's unwillingness to take action persisted in their activities, continuing among the general populace, and debates among government officials erupted over potential remedies that some argued for standing in the middle of the renegotiated Earth-Galactic Alliance to acquire more enforcement authorities. Others demanded an autonomous task force that could operate functioning beyond the limitations of interstellar administration as the sun continued to set in the east. The conversation dragged on for an indisputable time. It became evident that Earth needed more than simple precautions to protect its reputation. If the ship itself was to continue its efforts, gradual reforms and diplomacy needed an overwhelming force to face its escalating criminal issue head-on. Started to appear when whispers proliferated of private individuals looking into their private hands. Demoralized by systemic shortcomings, these people started hunting out criminals from galactic, beyond the bounds of conventional law enforcement agencies. They worked in the shadow, frequently at considerable personal risk, to monitor and capture those who had made fun of Earth's legal system. Has been in place for too long. Shift signaled the start of a new phase of Earth's struggle against hierarchy. These rogue agents are lawless. Were two bounty hunters, whose names were reputations, would eventually become legendary. Resourcefulness, perseverance, and a common goal. Their effectiveness was derived from their mission. Their special dynamic and collaboration was founded on confidence and an almost intuitive comprehension of one another's strengths. One's strengths were strategic planning, data analysis, and piecing intricate criminal networks collectively, while in the field, the other flourished by merging battle, agility, accuracy, and inventiveness. Together, Their expertise created a smooth device that runs effectively. It was on par with seasoned law enforcement. They wasted no time on these squads, bureaucracy or restrictions placed on using conventional techniques. Their capacity to adjust helped them maintain their lead. Of the most elusive offenders, with sophisticated tools at their disposal, the strategy was as inventive as it was efficient. They obtained state-of-the-art galactic technology via subterranean passageways that adapt each component to their cloaking gadgets. For operations, improved weapons and tracking systems intended to shut down without affecting them. Their staples become needless harm. These high-tech resources were combined with useful instruments, producing a combination of reliability and inventiveness. R2 of their neural disruption was caused by signature devices, able to render criminals incapable without any unintended harm, which is evidence of their dedication to accuracy. And what distinguished them wasn't their restraint, not only their arsenal, but also their approach. They preferred not to use brute force, strategies that took advantage of their target's conceit, and galactic offenders' overconfidence was utilized. To avoid sluggish legal systems undervalued the perseverance of the couple, and, shrewd Abu Rashma, they researched their objectives, carefully recognizing trends and weaknesses, and then hit. Their triumph was calculated with precision. Wasn't chance. Rather, it was the outcome of endless planning and a resolute hum to side the business. A constant flow of movement often kept them consistent with being outside the system. They didn't have formal approval. It implied the absence of safety nets or institutional support for each mission, carried the risk of legal action, consequences or reprisals from the same crooks they were pursuing. But these, taking chances, only seemed to increase their focus. They maneuvered cautiously, avoiding needless focus when creating. Their presence felt in the most important places. Their obscurity served as a barrier, and unknown elements like Simon's work unfortunately led to the first crimes. And Simon's work on the criminal circles, whispers of their success, swiftly we attracted notice. Yet not always appreciative of Earth's governments have mixed opinions on them. On the one hand, they are admired and worried, accomplished what was possible through official channels, not capturing valuable targets, who has long ridiculed Earth's justice. However, their strategies emphasize the obvious shortcomings of the current system, inquiries concerning whether their deeds marked a new frontier of justice or a risky template for action. These discussions accomplished little to combat vigilantism. Discouraged pair who didn't lose sight of their goal, unwilling to seek political approval or public recognition of their influence, went well beyond the people they captured. Galactic criminals started observing Earth with heightened awareness of caution that they were no longer able to work with impunity. The pair's standing became into a deterrent by establishing an atmosphere where even rumors of their participation were sufficient to thwart illegal schemes. For Earth, this change was a ray of hope, an indication that the tide was, even though it was being driven, was turning. Through unorthodox methods, the pair's ascent also served as an inspiration to those on Earth. Additionally, those in the wider galaxy who had felt helpless for a long time and started to believe in the potential to alter the bounty, hunters demonstrated that ability to be determined and bravery could be successful where institutions had acted ineffectively, caused a silent revolution that was uplifting both individuals and small teams to adopt the battle against criminality in their own methods, while others criticized their techniques as careless. While some perceived them as pioneers questioning the current state of affairs and imposing responsibility on a system unwilling to adapt, through their unwavering quest for justice, evolved beyond bounty hunters. They began to represent resistance. Despite a flawed system, yet they never wanted notoriety or celebrity for their efforts, was motivated by a private code that prioritized the values of justice over poverty. Other than that, they were aware of the risks, the sacrifices, and advanced without for honors or rewards, but because they had hope for a brighter future. The narrative was not one of perfect triumphs or unwavering victories. They encountered setbacks, with moments of failure where their lives were in jeopardy, and it appeared that their goal impossible. But every obstacle is unique. strengthened their determination by reminding them what they stood for and why they had begun to lose if they eventually quit up. We are meant to feel something in this life, they feel strongly. It wasn't only their abilities or resources that made them prosperous. It was their unwavering conviction that justice is important. How difficult it was to get there. Entering the world of bounty as a pair, hunting was characterized by quick decisions and activity. Their main objective was to clearly define high-value objectives, eliminate dangers, and provide justice through their method. Combine meticulous preparation with relentless implementation of a plan that swiftly produced outcomes. The first significant success quickly spread, establishing their reputation as powerful agents with the ability to deal with criminals. Others were unable to reach their original targets, were those who had long taken advantage of the planet Earth's these criminals' weaknesses assured of their capacity. To avoid justice wasn't ready for the pair's careful approach. They employed accuracy, using advanced monitoring and obtaining intelligence methods to follow their target at every turn. Corsica was purposefully created to increase impact while reducing danger. Their efficacy was indisputable, and there was less opportunity for error in their approaches. The arrest of a well-known smuggler functioning within Earth's orbit signified a fatal result of his own behavior. This person's pivotal moment coordinated a great number of procedures to move illegal goods with no consequences, and making fun of the planet's failure to prevent him from receiving the reward. His network article was taken down by hunters, by fragment severing his resources and keeping him apart from his supporters when the smuggler was eventually caught. Wasn't only a win for the pair, it was an assertion that the justice of Earth, even if it was no longer possible to disregarding their behavior, caused a stir into the criminal underground in Galactic. Those that were formerly contemptuous of Earth's capabilities started to reevaluate their presumptions about the couple's developing reputation. Made people uncomfortable. Among individuals who have been operating freely for years, terror turned into a new tool in their consciousness. Arenal thwarted illegal schemes. Before they may cause the deterrent effect to occur was unquestionable. Despite the couple's continued, as mysterious as their success increased, so did the intricacy of their targets. Every criminal brought with them new difficulties posed by increased security steps to create a clever escape tactics the pair used to deal with these threats. Or changing their assets, they formed partnerships with informers and used technology in creative ways, making certain that no target was outside of their arrival at the work that is constantly needed, alertness and flexibility. Although their unlikely games continued to grab entertainment programmers, the galactic steadfastness never faltered. The community started to pay attention, while some commended their work, while others voiced worry about their unauthorized actions. By governments discussed the ramifications of their behaviors, that raised doubts about whether success brought attention to structural flaws or the possible risks associated with unregulated enforcement. The pair stayed uninterested in these conversations, concentrating instead on their objective for the outcomes were more important to them. Their outcomes and politics speak for themselves in spite of their increasing power. Their reputation was growing. Persistent offenders are now conscious of the threat they posed. Quote, they started to counter the threat they posed. Measurements that are linked together to make partnerships to safeguard their interests. Others used or employed mercenaries, sophisticated technology, to avoid being caught. These endeavors only strengthened the intricacy of the pair's job, but they refused to let any impediment stop them, turned into a chance to demonstrate their tenacity and inventiveness. Additionally, actions attracted the attention of people on Earth, many of whom were motivated by their behavior. The pair's success gave rise to a feeling of hope that justice could be served, even in the despite. Despite the tremendous difficulties, their work became a reminder and a symbol of resistance. Believe each person might have an impact where organizations had collapsed when they worked in the shadows, and their influence was felt by people who endured prolonged suffering from the effects of unrestrained criminal activity. Difficulties kept growing as they surprised. The crooks' reputations rose, pursued becoming more perilous, ready to go above and above to avoid being caught by some people who were targeting the couple, directly trying to reverse the situation and get rid of the danger they presented. These dangers only strengthened their desire to remind them of the risks and the significance of their mission. They understood the benefits of each victory nearer their eventual objective of rebuilding fairness to a system that had previously been broken. Their labor wasn't free. The risks they encountered were ongoing, and their efforts' price was unquestionable, but they didn't let it stop them. Motivated by the conviction that their acts were individually successful in making an impact, capture reaffirmed their dedication, demonstrating that even the most difficult criminals might face consequences. They persevered throughout their journey, characterized by difficulties that put their boundaries, but their spirit was never broken. Couples' ascent to fame changed the intergalactic criminal landscape. Their behavior upset established networks, making criminals reconsider their methods and adjust to a novel Earth was once thought to be a weak link. As the galactic community started to restore its standing as a location where not only was justice achievable, but unavoidable efforts by the bounty hunter were a reminder and a turning point that, even in the most dire circumstances, there were those who were prepared to take a position and defend what was appropriate for their representative's image expanded. So did the influence of their labor. They emerged as a formidable force. Their names are interchangeable with justice and accountability of offenders who once made fun of Earth's incapacity to implement its rules. Now that the world cautiously aware that it was in fact right in implementing its rules, it was no longer the safe sanctuary it was. It was not safe. Starting their objective and staying motivated by the conviction that their labor was far from the beginning and that the battle for justice was worthwhile. Give up the most perilous task. They initially appeared as a criminal genius whose impact was widespread, more than anyone had expected. This person, infamous for planning some of the most intricate and devastating offenses, were the height of everything the pair had vowed to dispute. They had pursued this, in contrast to others. The target wasn't just a runaway, but a shrewd businessman who enjoyed chaos and managed their activities across worlds. With layers of manipulation and deceit that rendered them almost impervious to predators, the pair recognized that this mission would put all facets of their talents and their typical tactics efficient in combating opportunistic. There weren't enough criminals too. Someone who flourished on calculated manipulation, with accuracy. They started in this way, by breaking down the layers of the empire, tracing financial masterminds, transactions that reveal hidden networks, and making use of their expanding network of informants was a laborious task, needing perseverance and concentration, as every step forward showed a more complex, more deceptive web than they had anticipated. This criminal was more than simply a threat. Because of their reach, but additionally because of their capacity to anticipate and respond to dangers to their operations, were strengthened. Cutting-edge technology and devoted agents who would make sacrifices themselves without hesitation. Yet the pair was aware that their target's trust in their unbreakable network can also be a flaw. They highlighted taking advantage of this haughtiness, and being small Vic takes advantage of chances to weaken the mastermind's foundation control. The quest turned into a contest of cunning. Each side is waiting for the other to act. The pair continued to press relentlessly, venturing further into uncharted territory and revealing weaknesses that had been thoroughly kept their knowledge of. The capacity of galactic systems to affect galactic pressure, it became crucial to adjust in this pursuit. They employed fake trails and decoys to attract out the resources of the masterminds, forcing to respond, and cause mists, aka each minor misstep turned into a stepping stone to close the gap in spite of the residual results. The mastermind's countermeasures operatives put forth endless effort to interfere with their endeavors, using every strategy ready to defend their leader. There were attempts to undermine the pair and sabotage their coalitions, yet these initiatives only strengthened their resolve. They had long embraced the dangers and were aware of their targets. They were displaying signs of despair, advancement in the last phases of development. The couple had to exert more effort in order to pursue themselves, as far as they can approach, changed, as they determined the A-hub at the center of the mastermind's operations of action, so convincingly defended that it appeared impenetrable. So they collected each resource and relationship they had developed over putting together a plan for their career that integrated all of their abilities. And it wasn't only about capturing knowledge, the mastermind, but breaking down the system that they had developed. Anything less would enable someone else to advance in their whereabouts. When the Empire's masterminds started to disintegrate, the ripple effects were sensed throughout the galaxy. Of criminal actions that had appeared to be unbeatable were seen to be weak, and the authority structures on which they depended started to impede the couple's unwavering efforts had pushed the mastermind into an awkward situation, removing possibilities and establishing a circumstance in which escape was no longer a possibility. It's possible that the chase had exhausted both aspects, but it was evident that the pair's strategy and perseverance had won out. The mastermind's capture shocked everyone. Waves that go throughout the galaxy, it wasn't only a win for the pair, but a turning point for Earth's position in the communication was sent to the interstellar system. Evident of how strong or skilled someone who appeared to be untouchable could be brought before the court, this wasn't merely regarding the specific culprits. They had removed a sign of resistance against accountability and order in the aftermath of the capture, held equal importance to the criminal elected at some point. The success of the couple was hunted down, proved that even the most intricate mechanisms prevailing over the stars themselves could be neutralized with sufficient commitment and strategy. It changed how people thought about Earth as not a minor player in affairs in the galaxy, but as a planet that can of supporting justice more broadly scaled. The power dynamic changed discreetly, with governments and criminals similarly reevaluating their presumptions on the nature of Earth, and its protectors able to fulfill this mission designated a pivotal moment for the pair as well. It reaffirmed the significance of their efforts, not only in providing justice, but in confronting a damaged system. They demonstrated that the shift was feasible, even when it appeared unachievable. Their triumph wasn't only regarding the personal triumph, it was evidence that perseverance, with the right plan and bravery, even the most difficult obstacles the mastermind's pursuit, had been exhausting, needing all of their ability, perseverance, and resolve. However, it had also served as a reminder of the principle they had initially begun, because, for them, personal glory was never the goal, or acknowledgement. It was about creating difference, paving the way for a future in which lawlessness was unable to flourish. Unchecked, the galaxy's capture, not being the most elusive criminal, was the end of it. It was a turning point in their journey. The capture of the far broader mission mastermind changed how people thought about the galaxy for Earth. And the triumph signified an important turning point, not seen as a simple target for criminal behavior. The world started to restore its standing as an authentic interstellar affairs participant, and the repercussions of this accomplishment stretched well beyond the boundaries of our barriers that impact both offenders and authorities. It was evident that a major change had taken place, one that could not be disregarded in the wake of the demise of the masterminds. Criminal groups undergo radical shifts that had begun operating with impunity to dissolve out of concern for the repercussions of ongoing operation of the complex networks of piracy and smuggling. The abuse that had afflicted the planet started to fall apart as important players were captured or fled into hiding. The power vacuum that they captured, the mastermind, caused unrest among the surviving criminal groups, reducing their capacity to operate efficiently for the leaders of Earth. The bounty hunter's triumph was both a triumph and a warning. It reveals the existing system's inefficiencies while illustrating the possibilities of different perspectives on justice. Motivated by the couple's accomplishments, conversations about reforming, investment in Earth's enforcement policies, hiring of new technologies, specialist agents, and improved working together with the Galactic Council became top goals. And these initiatives sought to guarantee that Earth will never discover itself as susceptible to outside dangers. Additionally, the galactic community did not include most of the regions within its borders, including the galactic community. There are 273 challenged Earths, a supporting actor, start including governments that had previously rejected Earth. A supporting actor attempted to renegotiate contracts. Realizing the importance of Earth's growth capacity to keep the bounty in order, hunters had unintentionally placed their planet as a vital ally in the fight against pollution. This new intergalactic crime, respect made it possible to work together, and collaborations that had already been inaccessible in spite of their crucial for the couple's part in these changes largely stayed out of the spotlight. Their attention had never been on acknowledgement, and they displayed minimal interest in the symbolic or political consequences of their behavior. They kept working in silence, knowing that they had a long way to go in their mission. The fall of a single criminal empire was only a first step toward more responsibility, they recognized. Their work was a component of a bigger fight to bring about long-lasting change. The legacy of Bounty Hunter went beyond their recent accomplishments. Acts prompted some to contest the current state of affairs on Earth and throughout the world. Groups and individuals in galaxies started to assume the role of justice, inspired by the pair's example. Their techniques, albeit being unorthodox, became a model for people who wanted to face a crime. In many respects, corruption and lawlessness, they had sparked an initiative that would outlive their own earthly efforts. People who were first demoralized by the traditional system's shortcomings were discovered. The couple's triumph gave them new hope that even the most persistent issues could be resolved with perseverance, and creative societies that had suffering as a result of criminal exploitation started to resume with assistance. Through the feeling of safety that the couple's work has given the public, faith in Earth's capacity to defend its citizens and preserve justice was restored. Signifying an important cultural change, the coupling influenced even further to the criminals who resisted them. Having ridiculed the justice of Earth, now seen using prudence, realizing that impunity was no longer assured of the anxiety that their behavior created, a disruptive long-running activities that required those who were left to reconsider their tactics. The power dynamics had changed, and the power dynamics had changed in the power dynamics. The work of the couple played a significant role in this. Change for the bounty hunters, the future was still unclear. The journey had been motivated by individual conviction as opposed to exterior confirmation, and they displayed no indications of reducing their operational speed successfully dependent on their anonymity, and their independence were resolved to continue as long as they had become representations of justice that they disapproved of. The idea of institutionalization, or forfeiting the liberty that had permitted them to be successful, their tale turned into a pivotal moment in Earth's history, evidence of the strength of the individual, taking action when systemic failure occurs. The pair's perseverance had not only brought justice to those who think. In addition to being untouchable, they cleared the path to a future that is safer and more equitable. Their endeavors prove that, even in the most difficult situations, with the correct mix of talent, perseverance, and bravery, their work was ultimately more than merely a reaction to crime. It was a declaration regarding the significance of responsibility and the necessity of systems to change. They had demonstrated that justice, although elusive, could be accomplished by inventiveness and perseverance, while their progress had been fraught with peril and terror. Forfeit the consequences of their behavior would strike a chord with their generations. Not only altered how the galaxy was perceived of Earth, the galaxy had been altered. Its